Whoa! Nintendo is reportedly cutting down Switch 2 production this quarter as US demand dips. It plans to make 4 million units instead of 6 million, it claimed. Nintendo is cutting Switch 2 production this quarter as a response to lower than expected demand in the US, a new report claims. According to sources speaking to Bloomberg, the company plans to produce 4 million Switch 2 consoles during this quarter, instead of the 6 million it had originally planned to produce. The publication source has claimed this reduced output rate is set to continue into April. While Switch 2 remains extremely popular in its native Japan, why did it just what? What remains popular in its native Japan? What? Why not just home region native Japan? Okay, anyway, whatever. I'm getting hung up by some dumb nonsense. This was the only market that experienced severe stock shortages. In the US, followed up a record-breaking launch. Switch 2 sales slowed over Christmas and ended up down by 35% compared to what the original Switch managed during its first Christmas period in 2017. Bloomberg sources say that the critical and commercial success of Pokemon Pocodia hasn't yet caused Nintendo to start increasing Switch 2 output yet, with the company instead wanting to see if it and other titles continue to have sales that are consistently enough to justify an increase in console production. Amir Anwarzadeh, Japan equity strategist at Asymmetric advisors told the publication this hardware shortfall in its first year during its big holiday season is awful news. Clearly, the software lineup has been poor, at least up until most recently, with Pokemon showing some hope. The publication source, okay, I'm gonna just talk like this. I'm getting a nose block now. Why? Um, let's just keep reading because I don't know what else is going to say. The publication sources also claim that the decision to slow down production is driven by slower demands rather than the ongoing concern over increased RAM and shortage costs. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furuwaka said last month Nintendo was having discussions with its suppliers to ensure a stable supply in the long term, and that as a result, there were no plans to increase the price of Switch 2 due to the increasing cost of memory, at least at this time. Compared to Switch 1 first Christmas sale of Switch 2 were up in Japan 177 million versus 2.43 million, was slightly lower than the US 2.82 million versus 2.3 million, and the rest of the world 2.64 million versus 2.27 million. Despite this, Switch 2 phenomenal sales place has ensured it continues to enjoy fast selling. It's gonna keep selling, okay, with 17.37 million units in its first months of sale. Nintendo is expected to sell 19 million units by the end of the by this current fiscal year, which runs until April 1st, and it's still likely it will surpass this number. Okay. Um, I don't know, man. It's weird. It sucks that Nintendo is reportedly cutting Switch 2 production. I doubt much will change until they start. Oh, thanks to Chris Scullion. Anyway, it sucks that they're doing this, but it makes sense. I haven't heard none of my friends or family or anyone, even after owning a Switch 2, feel like is excited for it. They're all kind of just like, oh, the Switch 2, whatever, okay. Oh, what can the Switch 2 play that the Switch 1 can't? Pokemon Pocodia? Okay, sure. Like that's a big game in like a casual market, which would be my friends. But then at the same time, it's like, well, that's not enough for me to get the console. Is there a new Zelda? Is there a new Mario? Is there a better Donkey Kong? Like, is there other stuff that's coming out? Where Xenoblade 4, what's going on with that? There's like so many different things. Nintendo hasn't really pulled the plug, and I can't really say why anyone should get this console yet, other than like getting it now just so the cost isn't gonna rise so much, like with the war happening and then the RAM shortages. It just seems like it's going to cost a lot in the future, and that's the only thing I can say. Get it now, if unless you want it to be like too expensive, and that's for any hardware. And with any hardware, well, the Switch 2 is probably like the worst thing to get because what games are there to play on it? There's nothing. I can't justify anyone to getting it. The only game I got on the Switch 2 was Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that's it. Mario Kart World is kind of like okay, Donkey Kong Bonanza is pretty good, I think, but it's not that good. There's like no heavy hitting game to get. Like for me, the next game will be Fire Emblem 3 or whatever. I mean, I say 3, but whatever the next game is. And that's pretty much it. There's no new Kirby game, there's no Smash, there's no nothing that makes people want to go get it. But I mean, the Switch 2 will continue selling, but Nintendo has to show off the software side of things to make people want to get it. And right now, that's clearly lacking quite heavily because right now, even today, there are still Switch 1 titles coming to the Switch 1 and they don't have Switch 2 versions. Or if they do have Switch 2 versions, they're like very small incremental changes and it's just not worth it. Um, in any case, that's where I'll leave it. Take care and see ya.